Hi Danny, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So lovely to see you, and thank you for inviting me for this interview today.
Well, thank you first of all for coming along at such short notice, and I love the background, and it's a beautiful sunny day. And this conversation is going to be all about living with lockdown, and I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to your stories and insights about how you're dealing with it. But before we do that, I think it'd be great for our viewers if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So my name is Daniella Blechner. I'm an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out there in the form of professional books. Behind me are just two of the bookshelves of some of the 70 plus books that we've published over the last 3.5 years. So I need to get another bookshelf.
Did you just say 70 books in the last 2.5 years?
70 plus in the last 3.5 years.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That is
Thank you.
amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we can certainly talk a bit more about that because I think most people have a book inside them, don't they? And that's without even eating the book.
Yes,
So
I
I
think
think
so.
the idea that there is a simpler way to tell your story is very powerful. So I'd love to talk a bit more about that in a bit. But what I want to know is this lockdown. How have you personally been dealing with it?
Oh, long. There's a layered question, isn't it? How have I personally been dealing with it? I mean, the first thing, first of all, I would say is literally day by day, because nobody knows what's going to happen. It's a very uncertain era. It's a very uncertain time. There's a lot of fear out there. So for me, it's just, and I'm actually quite enjoying just living in the present moment. What do I need to focus on just today? Not what am I doing 12 weeks down the line or 8 weeks down the line or whatever. I think there's been stages to it. Obviously, towards the beginning, I lost 2 of my self-employed jobs. So I work as a teacher, and I also do workshops in schools. And both of those jobs just literally went on the Wednesday. And so I'd kind of made a mental decision that I was going to drink. Not advocating it, but I did what I had to do until Monday. I said to myself, right, on Monday, I'm sorting myself out. And I wrote a strategic list of who I need to contact, when I need to contact them, how I'm going to start looking at alternative ways of, being able to keep a roof over my head, obviously. Obviously, I've got my business as well. And it was just looking at how I could think outside the box I know we'll talk about this a bit later, think outside the box in regards to offering something similar service, but having to adapt to the climate, which is something a lot of us with businesses have had to do.
Yeah.
So once I, did all of the things that, call HMRC, freeze the mortgage, got that, the stability back in there, all I needed to worry about really is being able to eat, to have food, to eat, to live. And when it kind of got down to that minuscule thing of, right, have I got a roof over my head? Yes, I have. Do I have food? Do I have access to sunlight and the outside? If I may need just to go into a green space and have some headspace, yes, I do. These are the fundamental things. And so once I had that, I was able to, and also accept the situation. I think there's a thing in acceptance.
Yes.
Once you accept the situation, there's no room for that sense of, anxiety. What's going to happen? And what we're going to do? Because we don't know. So how I've been coping in terms of just making sure I'm eating well, trying to get a routine. I'm still quite busy with my work, so I've been doing a lot. Making sure I'm connecting with friends. I'm by myself. I haven't had any physical interaction for about 6 weeks, apart from the dog that decided to pee on me the other day.
You can talk about that in a bit more detail. I'm sure we
talk
want to
about that. Yeah. So I think it's just making sure you've got, a core people around you who are going to be there for you when you want to have a conversation, have a laugh, have a giggle, just support you and just know that you're not alone, really. I think that's what's got me through, just good people around me.
Yeah. See, I think that's so interesting that in such a short period of time, it feels like you managed to really prioritize and, get done all the things. So I'm interested in what you were saying about contacting the HMRC and your mortgage provider. I mean, how did you know what to do? Was there some kind of guidance given to you in terms of how to make sure that some of these, these big outgoings weren't going to become a major problem for you?
Yeah, I think in March I could see where this was heading. I knew it was coming. I could see it coming. And so I took up as much work as I could in the school that I'm normally at. And it wasn't until the day that just at the lunch break, it was, oh yeah, I've got some news for you. Don't know if it's good or bad for you. It's like, well, I need the work, so this is going to be good or bad. You're going to know. So basically, key stage 3 it's going to be their last day today, and schools are probably going to be closed for the foreseeable future on Friday, so we don't need you tomorrow or indefinitely. So it's bad news for me then. So the first thing I did, I just looked at all my options, universal credit. Yes, I have got a business, but at the same time, my self-employed job is there to facilitate me to be able to have this business. I've got business loans, I've got quite big outgoings, so I need to have these self-employed jobs are pay my mortgage and pay my rent, because I've got part by part rent, so it pays for all of these things that allow me to do this. So my first thing was, right, that's all I need to focus on at the moment. How am I going to subsidize what I've got? And I just researched, I looked. Money Supermarket is brilliant. Martin, he just knows, and he explains it in such a clear way. When they had the briefing about what they were doing for self-employed people, I still don't understand. I haven't touched that. So I just made sure that I made a list of, my mortgage providers, my housing association, any loans that I might have. I wrote all the names down with the numbers. I had my 3-4 days of lamenting and, what am I going to do? Whatever, AKA drinking wine. And then I said, Monday, I'm waking up early and I'm making these phone calls. It was very universal credit as well. And it was so difficult to get hold of some of these people. The only time I actually managed to get hold of HMRC was literally 7:59. If you ring at 7:59 on the dot, in the morning, 1 minute before they start, straight away. But then they didn't know anything either. It's like, no. And then 2 hours on the phone waiting to speak to someone at Barclays about my business loan that I've got. 2 hours, and then it cut off. So it was really frustrating. So all of this must have taken, I think, 2 to 3 weeks to sort things out, trying to work out whether because I'm an agency worker, so am I entitled to furlough? So getting my head around, who do I contact? Is it my umbrella company? Is it my agency? Nobody seemed to know. So getting my head around all of this was really stressful. It was stressful, but I just, once you accept that situation, if you don't have money to pay for your mortgage, what's going to happen? You can't magic up something, can you? So once you kind of accept that situation and look for ways forward, there's a liberation in that, in a strange sort of way, and not live in that fear, not live in that stress, and because nobody wants us out of our houses. No, exactly. Because we're supposed to be inside.
But also, I think from the point of view of the lender, they understand this is an extraordinary situation.
Yeah.
They don't want lots of arrears, and they don't want to deal with that either. So I think having a grown-up conversation is probably a really sensible way to do it. So you did all of that. You took care of the immediate sort of money issues, and then you were able to think about, right, what do I need to do next for my business? Because you mentioned you've been quite busy with your work, so I'm guessing that's to do with your business.
Yeah, so the publishing business, I'm definitely blessed. I've got 4 new clients in the last 4 weeks since it started.
People are writing their books, you see, because
I know, I know. But like you said before, I run a lot of events. I've had to cancel a lot of events. I had the Power of Your Story workshop coming up in, we've just finished, but it was in April. And, I'd booked the venue, got everything, had the guest speakers. And so I needed to work out a way. And for years now, people have said, do you do an online course? Do you do the Power of the Story online? And I was like, no, I don't know how to do it. Too much. How am I going to get the kids? It just seemed too much. And so I put it off. Because I had there's no way I could have refunded 10 ladies, 3 weeks worth of course at this stage. So by hook or by crook, I had to learn how to do it. So I got onto Zoom. It's another conversation. Got onto Zoom, worked out how to do 6 sessions. The speakers were on board. You can do breakout rooms in there where they can do group work. We could still do some of the exercises. So it's just adapting what I already had. Literally 3 full days worth of content in 6 sessions. So we had a morning session, afternoon session, kept it on the same days. I was able to send the workbooks that they use via PDF. So it's just, you know, adapting. It's never going to be the same as in person, because it's about the interaction, the group work and the intimacy and having a safe space to share. And whilst there was a level of sharing, you don't get that same connection, I think, in the group. So there's pros and cons to both. But I think in this climate, we've just got to, if we can learn anything as business owners, I mean, and as people in general, number one, on a stability financial angle, is I would love to get to a stage where I say, do you know what, if anything like this was to ever happen again, I want to have at least 3 months worth of wages and savings, yeah, so I can cover myself. You know, if this ever happens again, I would never want it to be in this way, where anyone is stuck and literally living hand to mouth, not knowing what to do. Secondly, as well, as business owners, we need to learn how to be adaptable and adapt to the climate and adapt quickly as well, because if I hadn't have done that online course, I really wouldn't know what I would do. You know, we've had books that were released, we had book launches organized, we had to create online book launches. We had I had an event that I was supposed to be at the London Book Fair, which would have been a massive thing for Conscious Dreams Publishing. We had a huge exhibition. I'd spent months like packing up books, getting all the you know, my flyers printed. I mean, I've got a room full of flyers and and stuff, you know, and books and everything that we would have had on our stall. That was cancelled. So a lot of things that we had event wise that would have been really good for us in terms of progression have been cancelled. But it's just finding other ways of doing things and accepting the losses, because we can never prepare for things like this, I guess.
So true. And I think the word you use, adapt, you know, to be able to adapt is so important. And I think adaptability is going to be probably the key trait that's going to separate the people who are successful when this all, you know, comes to an end and we go to whatever new normal is going to look like. Because then those who are sitting and thinking, well, maybe we'll go back to how things were, are probably going to be in for a big surprise, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know what things are going to look like, but I think it's never going to be as it was before.
No, I agree. And I'm interested. I mean, the online events that you did, I mean, the course one is interesting because I agree with you that I recently was part of it wasn't my, I mean, I was just one of the attendees in the course, and I did a weekend course entirely on Zoom because it had to be moved. And I wasn't quite sure how it would be, but I was happy it was on Zoom because it meant I didn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I would probably not have gone to the actual course even without the lockdown, because it's just too much of a faff and it's a whole weekend.
Yeah.
But you loved it. In fact, I'm thinking, you know what, just please, just always give us this option.
I'm getting used to this.
Yeah, because people from, you know, people outside of London were able to join in. People would have had to spend quite a lot of money and time traveling. So I think it's a really good alternative. And I'm not like you. I agree that the personal interaction is important, but to have an alternative is fantastic. And we've all been pushed to explore something we probably thought was not going to work. So that's been a good thing, hasn't it?
100%. And you only need to dress from the top.
It's brilliant, you know, like
you know what I mean?
The right kind of shoes, and so this is brilliant. I could just wander around barefoot. Nobody's even going to know.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about. You said you've got 4 clients already signed up for a book. So tell us a little bit about your business, and you know, what is it that someone who's maybe thinking, oh, I'd love to write a book, but I don't know if I have the language skills or the writing skills. What would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, well, first of all, what we do is we provide bespoke publishing and mentoring services to authors. So mentoring looks at the bigger vision. So it's not just the publication of the book. So we'll look at Okay, what retailers do you want to get into? Being a self-published author and getting into physical bricks and mortar stores is like the holy grail, but it's possible. You know, what press coverage do you want to get? What speaking engagements, when we're allowed out again, do you want? You know, what is the bigger vision of your book? What organizations do you want to affiliate yourself with? What JVs do you want, or joint ventures do you want to have, to create? So we look at the whole vision. In terms of publishing, we do everything from the editing to the proofreading, typesetting, interior, which is the interior design of the book, cover design, distribution, everything you can possibly imagine to create, publish and distribute a successful book. We do offer some marketing and promotion and event planning. We did, you know, so
but
we
it's going to be there probably more.
Yeah, exactly. So anything you can imagine, you know, needed to create, publish, distribute and market a book. So that's what we do. And your second question was, so what do we offer? And
No, I think I was just interested in whether, there was, I think, only one question, but I was interested in whether, you know, the
what
sudden
would you
surge
say
of
to them?
interest, you know, to what extent has it been as a result of the work you'd already put in before, and to what extent is it a result of the lockdown and people thinking, oh, I have a story to tell?
Okay, yeah. So I remember you saying, what would I say to them, those who are, you know, have an idea? Well, the people who have signed up with us are the people who have literally finished their first draft. So we usually work with authors when they finish their first draft. But those who've done the Power of the Story workshop are at idea stage. So we can take them through how to structure the book, but they have to write their book. I don't do sort of book writing coaching. But what would I say if you're, you know, at that stage? I would say that if you've got an idea, anything, even if it's setting up a business or, you know, an invention that you have or a passion that you have, like, now is the time to really invest in that. You know, everyone's got different situations. You know, some people are on lockdown with like huge families and they have even less time than they have. But those people who are finding that they have more time and we're in a right place, because we're not all in the right place. So I think it's important to acknowledge that as well. You know, in a right place to really pursue their book and really sit down and get it done. Just do it. Don't allow fear or doubt to stop you from ever doing anything. You know, we don't need to be waiting for validation or permission to shine or to be great. If you've got an idea, you've had that idea, and especially if it's a reoccurring idea, you've had that idea for a while, and you know, why not use this time to like create something beautiful? That's what I would say.
I love that. I love that. So is the Power of the Story course, is that a good starting point for someone to come along to actually get a feel for how they need to write their book? Is that what you would suggest?
Yeah, a good starting point, what I'd say, would be to do a free 30-minute consultation with myself, where we'll talk through your why, your message, your reader. Do you have a legitimate idea ready, you know, there already? Do you know what your why is? And then from there, I'd say the next step would be the Power of Your Story, because we work with, this is mainly for women who are at the idea stage or at the structure stage, so they haven't kind of got to the end of their manuscript and are ready to submit. So I would say, yeah, the Power of the Story would be the next stage. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. So I do want to carry on talking about lockdown, but I'm so interested to hear a little bit more about how you got into this. Can you tell us maybe very quickly your personal story and how Conscious Dreams that you came
about?
For you? Yeah.
I've always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to write from age 4. Teachers used to say, "What do you want to be when you're older?" And I always said, you know, I'm going to be an author. You know, when I'm 40, retired at 40, and stay at home and write books all day. I didn't end up writing a book. It wasn't the book I thought I was going to write, because I actually started off with a young adult children's not sci-fi, fantasy novel. But I wrote a book called Mr. Wrong instead, which is a collection of stories written by women across the world who've encountered this infamous Mr. Wrong, but more so it's a place to self-discover, you know, belief systems that we may have, or limiting belief systems that we may have about ourselves, love, relationships. So it goes back to self, you know, loving self, not about berating other people, tongue in cheek. So I wrote this book and I had so many amazing stories written by women. I wanted to honor them. So I put the book together, and I did everything that I bought this book called Getting Published, you know, first bit, step by step, how to publish a book. Write a query letter. This query letter is like a 1-page about your book, yourself, your marketing plan, who your audience is. You send that off to agents. Did that, and I waited 3 to 6 months stopped writing during that time. The letters came in. I say letters, I mean two. You know, great writing capability. We love what, you know, this is a really good idea, very witty, very funny. However, we're looking for someone who's got a following. And then instead, I decided, rather than carry on, I'm going to now try and contact all of these big traditional companies like HarperCollins and Random House, all the ones where I blatantly know you need to have an agent to be able to be published by. But I thought, let me just do it anyway. But meanwhile, I stopped writing and I waited for a response. And then I don't think I got any responses. I got one response again, you know, great story, really funny, witty, on trend. However, we don't accept unsolicited authors. Okay, brilliant. And there was something about that gave me that epiphany moment where I realized I've stopped writing for nearly, you know, good part of a year because I've been waiting for a response. And then I realized I wasn't waiting for a response. I was waiting for validation, you know. I was waiting for somebody to say, you know, this is brilliant, you know, this is good enough, you're good enough, your story matters, you matter. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm literally hanging in the balance of somebody else's opinion that I'll never meet. And so I just thought, by hook or by crook, I know these stories can impact other people, and they have. People have come back and said, you know, I've read this story, or I read this part of your book, or I read about the section about forgiveness, and it's really helped me in my relationship. It was really helped me to love myself more, and it's always helped me to identify something within myself. And that was more important than, you know, anything. So I just researched publishing a book, set up Conscious Strings Publishing, and then published it. And then it did well. Beat Steve Harvey, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, on the and I got some good press. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I just had these opportunities come to me, and I was really blessed for that. And then I had lots of women especially coming to me and saying, you know, how did you do this? Can you help me? And so I mentored them through. Then, you know, my background is teaching and mentoring. I love literature, I love books. I thought, hold on a minute, let's fuse the two together, set up the business. And then, you know, 3.5 years later, we've got 70+ books on the shelf.
That's amazing. I love that you just kind of went from your own experience and realized that other people have the same experience and you can provide a solution that would help them. So let's talk about lockdown. So tell me, so it's been what? This is week 5, isn't it? I've kind of lost track of time.
I have no idea.
Like week 27, but it probably is only week 5. How have you kind of made light of a pretty serious situation? Because, you know, you talk about how the first couple of weeks you were dealing with some of the serious stuff, and then, you know, you're taking each day as it comes. So how do you find moments of, you know, humor or, you know, lighthearted sort of?
I think there's humor in everything. I think there's beauty in the struggle. Life is about paradoxes, contradictions. You can't have one without the other, you know. And I think that even though there's a lot of horrible things going on, negative things, you know, I personally know people who have passed away, but, you know, we've got to, like I say, you've got to take every day as it comes. So I think humor just come in many weird ways, and maybe it's when you live on your own, and you spend so much time by yourself, really get to know yourself a bit better. And I've realised I'm actually an all right person. But I think it's like you develop like a strange, you know, relationship with like the cabbages in your fridge, for example. I mean, there was one point where I did these online shops, and I usually use Riverford, but they're all booked out now because people are catching on to these things. You know, how people who are like regular to this online shopping at these like organic places, like people are catching on to it because they can't take going to Asda or the supermarkets, and also you can't order that online, so they're discovering all these, you know, fruit and veg places. So when I finally managed to find a couple of fruit and veg delivery places, I realized that I had lots of cabbage. I opened my fridge and I thought, hold on, these cabbages have been here for about 3 weeks. I have no idea what to do with them apart from to shred them, sauté them, create something. And so I put, see, life becomes about the small things, doesn't it? I put a message on Facebook saying, you know, we've been staring at these cabbages and they're staring back at me, and it all became a bit intense. Does anyone have any cabbage recipes? I'm telling you, that post got more responses than any post that I've probably ever done in my life. It just made me realise
You could now create a book on how to cook cabbage, couldn't you?
yeah, 101 ways to make cabbage during lockdown. That's my new book.
Please go ahead and do that. The
So
service to humanity, I'm sure.
yeah. And just I don't know if it's finding the humour. I think the humour finds us if we want to see it. You know, another example is people kept saying to me, "You've got to do this Don't Rush challenge." I don't know if you've seen the video, the Don't Rush challenge.
No, I haven't seen that. Tell me.
Oh gosh. So Don't Rush is when people they start off dressed down. They start off with makeup and then they put like a there's a thing. They put what's this called? Makeup brush to the camera, and then they're all glammed up. So it's all different.
I've seen a couple of my friends post their young teenage daughter's TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok, that's it. TikTok.
Okay, got it.
Now, it looks really easy. It looks like it's simple. It takes a minute. It's fun. So many people saying, oh, you've got to do that with your authors. You know, they can chuck the pen. And then we saw that someone had done that. I thought, okay, it looks good. So by the 6th time, somebody had said, look, let's do it. I just thought, okay, come on, let's do this as a project. Rohini, it was a whole day affair. Something so simple took so long. And I'm slightly clumsy, a little bit awkward, a bit dyspraxic. And again, I'm by myself. I had to stick my phone on the wall with blue tack. Then I had the laptop underneath. Then I had like this massive ring light, and I had this dressing gown on and a scarf on my head, boiling. And then, and then like, I had to chuck the pen at myself like this. And so I started off, doing it, trying to do it. And then I think I did about literally 32 takes. I watched the takes back, and I was actually laughing I was able to see myself objectively, and I was just laughing at myself because I'm there like swearing away, going, sakes, I can't catch the pen, and it just becomes about, when you're able to laugh at yourself, I think you look at life a little bit differently. And I normally probably wouldn't have posted it. And I thought, you know what, let me just post this. It's funny. Let's show the deep, dark reality of what it's like to make these don't rush challenges. It's not glamorous. It doesn't take 2 seconds. It took me the whole day. I lost a whole day in lockdown doing that. The video is going to come out on Monday, by the way. So I feel sorry for the person.
On your Facebook? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on Facebook and probably on Instagram, and yeah, wherever I can. We've got a really lovely girl family on Instagram. She's 17 and she's doing a work experience now with us. And her first assignment is to edit together our TikTok Don't Rush challenge videos.
Such a metaphor for life, isn't it? That, something that looks like it just happened just like that. Actually, behind the scenes took forever.
Yeah, I know. All day. And if anyone ever asks me to do Don't Rush challenge, not happening. Not happening. I've done my one, and that is it.
So it looks like you've learned quite a number of things to do with technology. You've learned how to do a Zoom, workshop over a weekend. You've learned how to do this Don't Rush thing. In terms of more kind of philosophical, positive insights about yourself, I think you mentioned something at the start, that you kind of began to feel that actually you're quite all right. So tell me about that. What's been that moment of insight for you about yourself?
I think a lot of people have been saying like, oh, you're okay by yourself. And, when I speak to some people, they just, for them, being by themselves is a worst nightmare, and everyone's different. I've got a really good set of friends. I'm a very sociable person. I like people. I like connecting with people, but I also like being by myself as well. I think I'm a secret introvert. And I think over the last maybe definitely 2 months before all this started, and definitely over the last year, I've had a lot of, you've been so busy and it looks like you're doing really well and you're always at this event and you're doing that, it's really good. But I haven't felt like, when people make assumptions, there's a distinction between, what someone sees on Facebook or social media or what someone's doing, and it becomes like an equivalent to how that person must feel. Yeah, it's not an inquiry into that. How are you really? How's your day? How are you feeling? How are you getting on in life? How are you finding life? Are you enjoying life? because our business isn't everything, you know, things that we post isn't everything. So I feel like I've been not pressured, maybe influenced by other people's views in terms of what success looks like. You know, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, so you must be doing well. And what I've been saying over the last 2 months, definitely before this happened, was I'm so grateful for, you know, the clients and the work that I get to do and the events that I'm going to. But I feel like the world is going too fast. I really have. I feel like everything's going too fast. I feel like I need 2 months. Just first I said holiday, then I said just 2 months out of life. Like really just out of life, just connecting back to myself. Who am I? What am I about? What are my values? What do I really want? Do you know what I mean? What is my mission? I know I'm going deep, but I felt for a considerable amount of time that I've needed to just to really connect back to myself. And this has been a really good time and opportunity to do that. And so a lot of things have come up, you know, fears, shadows. I think a lot of people's shadows are coming up, which is why sometimes we don't like to be by ourselves, because we're forced to see our shadow. We're forced to deal with things that maybe we don't like about ourselves. But I think there's something beautiful about being able to look at things we don't like about ourselves and say, okay, I accept, there's no such thing as bad. Well, there is such thing as bad, but I accept the dark, I accept the light, I accept all aspects of me as fragments of the whole. That is actually a beautiful creation, you know? I feel like we've gone from like, you know, don't rush challenge to just going into like something really philosophical. But I think when you're by yourself, is you realize the responsibility that you have to look after yourself. Like you could either really let yourself go, you know, pick up all those old habits, fall into a depression, not eat properly, start drinking, start falling into fear and panic, or we can say, do you know what, I'm going to use this time to truly connect back to who I am and truly and deeply love myself. I'm not 100% there yet, but truly and deeply, because I did skip breakfast, but truly and deeply take responsibility for this vehicle that we have, and also just to see how we can just be a nicer person, a kinder person to others, be more compassionate, to be of service, to not just think about self, but to think about community. I'm a real community person. I love people. I love my community. I miss seeing the old faces on the street, you know, old Mickey who sits outside Gypsy Hill Gypsy Hill Cafe, you know, the little conversations. So those interactions that you have with people become more meaningful, because when you spend so much time by yourself, you become more choosy about who and how you interact with people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think that's beautiful, and I love how you articulated all of that. So, you know, to me, if I was going to sum it up in a sentence, it's all about acceptance, isn't it? You accept yourself for exactly how you are, and you realize that not all of it's going to be brilliant, but that's how we are.
That's
But it's
okay too.
also, you know, to be a more compassionate, loving person to other people, you have to be that to yourself.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
that's something that a lot of us struggle with, because we think that to be a good person, you just got to be kind to other people, that put ourselves right at the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
It was a mistake, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. I think that's my lesson, and also questioning what has been the purpose of putting everything and everyone and everything ahead of actually looking after self, and like really understanding what that means. You know, it's definitely, I think as women especially, we do that.
I,
Everything and everyone else first, and then
yeah,
you forget to look after yourself. You forget that actually I need to have 8 hours sleep, or actually I should really eat something healthy today, or do you know what I mean?
absolutely. It's that oxygen mask analogy on a plane. You know, they tell you to put your own mask on before you help somebody else, because if
Yeah.
you don't do that, you're not going to be in a good place. So that's really good. I think that's a really good reflection, and I'm sure that, you know, people will resonate with some of that, and it's a good reminder that this is a time maybe to slow down and just do the things that you never had time for. So tell me a little bit about the whole community thing that you did mention. You're very sociable, and we had that incident with the dog that I'm sort of looking forward to hearing about. So what's is it that everyone's like genuinely all in lockdown and you're not going out to the shops or anything like that, or do you get out to get some fresh air, or
Oh yeah, yeah, I do that. I mean, there's like weeks where I might just be in the house, but I'm lucky enough to be able to have a roof, so I can climb out the window onto my roof. So I've done a bit of sunbathing on the roof. Don't worry, it's safe. So that's nice. I've got a small park about 5 minutes away from me. There is hardly anyone there. I'm a very much a green space park tree person, so there is like a special tree that I have. There's probably about 10, 15 people in there at a time. So it's very quiet. I might go to the shops, but I haven't ventured further than probably a 20. No, I went to the post office yesterday, and that's about a 25-minute walk, and it was closed.
Oh,
but apart from that,
actually,
twice.
W. Smith.
No, like the post office to pick up a parcel twice. But it was a good walk. But apart from that, I've probably got 10-minute walk, 5-10-minute walk to the shop or to the park, or both. That's probably being the most. And I kind of quite like that. I don't drive, so it's, for me, in a weird way, I've just become used to, I haven't got this craving to, I've got to go to central London, I've got to see what's going on here, I've got to what's happening in Brixton. It's like, I've got this little patch here, you know, shop there, shop there, shop here, my place, the roof, the garden, the park. I'm actually quite happy, you know, but I'm not doing lots of going out, just living there.
So who's this dog then that's taking a fancy to you?
Oh gosh, the dog. So weirdly enough, on Monday, a few days ago, I posted the last physical interaction I'd had was over 6 weeks ago, breaking up a fight at school. Okay. Now, someone said to me, be careful what you wish for, and they're correct, because the next day I was in the park, you know, just sitting down, just reflecting, you know. And then out of nowhere, this dog turns up, like this long-faced dog, and starts sniffing my back. Like, I've got, people who know me know that I've got a fear of dogs. Once I understand that they're okay and they're you know, they're all right and everything, then I'm fine with them. But dogs running, dogs barking, I don't know where it's come from. It's from a young child. It scared the hell out of me. So anyway, it comes running up. Lucky I didn't see it running up. It just suddenly appeared. Then it was like sniffing my bag. That sounds a bit weird, but it's like sniffing my. I bought some like kitchen roll and some water and some chocolate croissants, and it was sniffing the bags. And so I said to the dog, "Oh, can you go back to your owner, please?" And then, out of nowhere, right, I just felt this warm jet of something on my foot. It literally lifted up his leg and peed all over my foot.
Oh my God, I don't believe it.
I know. That's one way of saying hello. I don't know what that meant, why they felt the need to, the owners felt so bad. And they started to break social distancing rules by coming right up to me. And I'm like, ugh. And so they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's my American accent. I'm so sorry. He's never, I thought they said he, but now I know it's a she. She's never done this before. And it's like, well, this doesn't make me feel better. And then they were like, she's never, ever done this before. So sorry, you know, I wouldn't be so understanding if I were you. I'd be livid. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? What can I do? What can I do? I can't start screaming. I can't start shouting at the dog. Meanwhile, the dog's bounding off free as a bird like it's done nothing wrong, you know. So are you serious? There's no repercussions. You literally just go up to somebody, pee all over their foot and go, you know, run off. Unbelievable. But then I went back there yesterday, and after my trauma, I was speaking to a friend about it on the phone, and as I was speaking about the dog, I looked up and there it was again. I'm like joking with the owners. So the owner came up again and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry about yesterday. I looked it up. She's never done that before. I think it's because she smelt a fox. And I thought, so are you saying I smell like a fox now? I was much better off at home by myself, just having conversation with myself. Because if those are the sorts of conversations I'm going to have, I'm okay, you know.
Oh God, that's so funny. So funny. Okay, so yes, now we know what happened with the dog. So is that, are you going to avoid that particular time of day, going to the park, just in case you have another doggy encounter?
If I go another time of the day?
Well, I was just wondering whether you're avoiding that particular time of day when that dog's going to be in the park.
Well, it's funny because I'm trying to, because all the days and times are merging into one. All I know is yesterday it was about 12, and as soon as I saw them, I started packing up, and she was like, "Oh, you're not going because of the dog, are you?" And I was like, "No." But I think I've got to try. If I can remember what time the dog incident happened before, that would be great, and I'll avoid that time. But no, not really. I think you can't live your life in fear of dogs, can you?
No, you can't. No, you can't. I absolutely agree with you. So tell me a little bit about what we talked a little bit about the new normal. Of course, none of us really knows what it's going to look like. Yet I think we can each maybe, based on our individual sort of, business or our own personal vision, we may have a sort of sense of what it might look like for us, and maybe from that we can extrapolate a little bit. Tell me about what you think the new normal is going to be for you and your work and business.
Myself personally, or because you mentioned
No,
other
we can
businesses as
begin
well.
with whichever, you can talk
Myself.
about it personally first and then the bigger picture or the other way around. I'm not too fast.
I don't really know, because it depends on how this is going to affect people long term. I think a lot of small business owners, coaches, people probably here doing similar things to myself, thought that they wouldn't get clients because everyone's been hard hit by this. Some people haven't. Some people are working from home. Some people's income hasn't been affected. Some people are still able to invest in things like this. But I definitely also have noticed a loss in some clients. There's some clients who were going to sign up, weren't able to sign up. The way people are paying for things now are more installments. So I genuinely can't predict or say how things might change. But I would say, in terms of the change that I'm going to make in my business, is to think about how I can make more evergreen products, which is what I would say to, all people, entrepreneurs is the word I was looking for. Look at how you can make more evergreen products. Look at how you can use technology to enhance your business. So if you have an event, think about how you can also create an online event. There's great benefits of doing online events. You can reach people on a global scale. You can reach people that you could never have reached if you were to do an event. Like yourself, you were saying you wanted to do a retreat, and you were, oh, I just don't want to travel. How many people feel like that? How many people might feel tired and might not want to turn up? How many people from miles and even different countries might want to come and attend your event and they can't? So how can you use tools like Zoom, and I'm sure there's lots of others, to be able to do online trainings, events? How can you create online? How can you use your gifts and talents to create online seminars or online trainings, for example? What are your talents? How can you, I hate using this word, pivot? How can you pivot what it is that you're doing? My sister published her book with us I think it was about 2 weeks ago, could be 3 weeks, 3rd of April. She's a holistic health and wellness wellbeing coach. So she started to do transformational breathing sessions on Zoom. She started to do her own online show. So thinking about how you can use technology to your advantage.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think what you're essentially saying is that whatever you've already got, first of all, you've got to make sure it's got a life beyond the current circumstances, but also look at ways in which you can reach a bigger audience.
Reach and teach a bigger audience. And then once you've got your package together, so if you want to do with the power of your story, I've got 6 sessions recorded. I'm going to package them together, and then you can sell it as an evergreen product. So even though people aren't attending live, they can still have the workbooks, they can still have the PDFs, they can still take part in the exercises, they still have the PowerPoint and the teachings that are in the online course. So creating evergreen products that people can buy.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And in bigger picture terms, I mean, do you feel what's your sense of how humanity is going to be once we come out of this?
How humanity is going to be, or how I want humanity to be?
Well, both really. Yeah, I think it's going to be influenced by how individually we want things to be, I guess.
I'm hoping that So I think with every crisis, and we see it throughout history, like, it brings the best and the worst out in humanity, I think. So for me, the worst of humanity was seeing the panic buying, the absolute selfishness of people, like completely emptying supermarkets, thinking of self, creating their own house, creating their own shops in their houses, and people who needed the food the most weren't able to buy. People who the capitalist store owners who were charging 5 times the price for hand sanitizers and for toilet roll. You again, humanity is not necessarily going to go in one direction. It might go in 2 different directions. So you have this direction of, like, out of fear and panic and selfishness and greed. Then you have people who are really making a difference in the community. There's lots of groups, actually. I'm part of the Lambeth COVID-19, I hate that word, 19 mutual aid group. And so we're part of a network whereby we give out leaflets. So if anyone's self-isolating, they need someone to speak to on the phone, we're there. If they need people to pick up prescriptions or drop off food, it will be sent to, like, the WhatsApp group within that particular area, and then volunteers will go and do that. So I think a lot of people are taking more responsibility for their community, not just thinking of self. So I think definitely I'm hoping we have to have a much bigger appreciation of the NHS.
Yeah.
Voting properly. Properly is not the right word, but, like, knowing who is the real foundation of our society. The NHS, the grocery workers, the bus drivers, the delivery people, all the people who are still working, still keeping the society going and still serving. I just hope that we have a greater appreciation for these people, and I hope that greater appreciation is also going to be met with finances from the government, most definitely.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And I think, in terms of, I guess, the new normal for us as a country, do you feel that, this whole working from home thing is going to become more acceptable? Because it feels like a lot of businesses were hiding behind the fact that they didn't think they could allow their employees to just work from home because they won't do any work. And now suddenly they're forced to trust their employees. So what's your sense about, where that's going to go?
I think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be going back to work.
Yeah. Or not in the same way, certainly, as before.
Yeah, not in the same way. Or maybe they might find themselves and go off and, realise they've got a much bigger talent or gift and, just leave their job. But I think maybe it may be a case of people working from home. Again, we don't know what the situation is going to be anyway and for how long. But certainly if this was all over, it would be good to think that businesses would allow people to work from home more, if that was something that suited the person, because it's got to suit the person as well. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for working from home.
Yeah, me too. And I think, once you start doing it for yourself, it's hard to imagine going back into that,
Yeah,
commuting every day. Listen,
structure.
it's been so nice talking to you, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So before we finish up, is there any sort of parting wisdom or story you want to share with our viewers?
Oh gosh, parting wisdom. I wouldn't say I have any parting wisdom, but I think in everything we experience, there's always 2 ways to look at it. We can look at things in fear, or we can look at things in love, and choose love in this situation. Think about other people. Think about, your smile across the street to somebody who you'll never speak to. They might be wearing a mask. You might be wearing a mask, but your kind words or your smile might be the first kind words or the smile that they've seen for however long. There's so many people who are locked up with people who aren't good for them, in abusive relationships. Just take the time to check on your neighbours, check on your community, check on people. Just have compassion for people, and just be mindful. That's all.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Danny. So nice to have this conversation, and I wish you all the very best. And you know, hopefully lots more people will want to come to you and, you know, write their stories, because I think we need more
Yay.
stories being told. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.